Greetings. Welcome to the Win Good Sports Podcast. My name is Jeff Goodwin, also known as Professor Win Good. I am the founder and president of Win Good Sports. Win Good Sports is a sports consulting agency designed to help athletes maximize their potential. Win Good Sports is specifically designed to help golfers in most aspects of the game. Today's topic is most caddies are not worth the weekly paycheck. Ouch. I hope you find the podcast informative. Let me start by saying I have caddied before. I have caddied for a player who missed cuts. Haven't we all? I have caddied for a player who won as a professional golfer. Have you? I have caddied on both PGA Tour Canada and the Korn Ferry Tour. I am also a former university professor with 3 university degrees in kinesiology. Yet, this podcast is not about me. It is about what I have experienced while traveling on both PGA Tour Canada and the Korn Ferry Tour. I am a teacher, and I hope you will learn from what I have experienced and observed. Despite the harsh tone, my message is meant to be helpful. I repeat, this podcast is meant to be helpful. To the players, I want to emphasize that golf is a difficult sport, but you already know that. And the quality of players is incredibly high, and you also know that too. While most of you have the self-belief to make it to the PGA Tour, the fact is that most of you will not. The fact of the matter is that everyone is really good on the Korn Ferry Tour. The same could be said for the various tours out there, both for women and men. However, this is not to discourage you, but rather to urge you to focus on maximizing your potential. You should do a deep dive into what areas you can improve on. Examples include, but are not limited to, nutrition before, during, and after a round, proper sleep quantity and quality, workout quantity and quality, cell phone usage and possible addiction, and amount of time spent that could be used doing something much more productive, proper tournament preparation, setting boundaries with your significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance, wife, husband, or that friend with benefits, so the person is not a distraction to you, and having a solid understanding of your strengths and weaknesses as a golfer based on analytics, and hiring a quality, highly qualified caddy who can help you post the lowest score possible in each round. With that said, let's turn to the caddies. This will be unpopular. This will be harsh. Most caddies are not worth the weekly paycheck. My words are harsh. Why? It's frustrating watching you, the caddy, underperform in your responsibilities. Why? It's simple. The players deserve better. Golf is hard. Every golfer wants to make it to the PGA Tour, yet most will not. And from my experience and observations, you are not doing your job to the level you should be. I will share some examples. They are divided into 1. Pre-tournament preparation, 2. Practice round preparation, 3. Tournament round responsibility, and 4. Post-tournament evaluation. Pre-tournament preparation. With proper proactive preparation, you should have a tentative game plan for the player before he or she ever arrives to a course. This could come from the experience of having caddied on the course before. This could also occur from the wide variety of resources available to learn about a course. You should have a relatively good idea of what club the player will hit on each tee box. You should have a relatively good idea of what approach yardages will look like for a round. In my opinion, that information should be shared with the player prior to arrival. That is, the player should know beforehand if it is going to be a drive, chip, and putt course or a course requiring a lot of long irons into greens. This can help the player prepare in advance. It is your responsibility to help the player, and proper pre-tournament preparation is a factor. Practice round preparation. In almost every Korn Ferry Tour tournament, hole locations are posted from the previous year. It is your job to make sure the player hits putts to those locations, and it is your job to make sure you understand the slope and how the ball breaks to those locations. The practice around is not about you setting the golf bag down and you watching what the player does. You should be actively involved. The practice round is about trying to learn what should happen during the golf round. Each shot a player hits during the practice round tells a story. And while that is happening, you should also understand there's a huge difference between what should happen versus what could happen. Golf rounds do not go as planned. You need to anticipate what could happen for every hole and be prepared. You should help the player know when he or she should chip, pitch, hit sand shots on a hole. If it's a short par 4 and the player is going to hit a flip wedge into the green, then hitting a lot of short game shots is not appropriate. There is simply a better use of time. When the hole involves a very long iron into a green, then more emphasis should be placed on the short game. You should know what the player should be doing for each hole before the player plays that specific hole. Be strategic. This is the most obvious one. A caddy should know exactly how far the player hits each club during the warm-up. That is, the caddy should know how far a pitching wedge is going and how far the 5-iron is going. This requires planning and preparation, and most caddies fail in both. Tournament round responsibility. Your job is to help the player post the lowest score possible in a tournament round. I repeat, your job is to help the player post the lowest score possible in a tournament round. And that's hard. There's a fine line between showing up, staying up, and shutting up and letting the player work through a struggle to being a cheerleader to keep the momentum of the situation going, or being a cheerleader to help the player get out of the rut. And sometimes a caddy experiences those roles in the same round. Golf is hard, and being a caddy is not easy, especially if you have a difficult player. You are damned if you do, and damned if you don't. With all the complexities, you should be a copious note taker of what happens during the golf round. It is not just about yardage to the front, pin, back, or the cover of a bunker. It is so much more than that. You see, each shot the player hits tells a story. It is part of a complex puzzle you are trying to figure out. It's about taking notes on each shot, in addition to yardages to front, pin, etc. Taking copious notes is for the goal of learning about your player's tendencies, so appropriate strategy can be implemented to increase the likelihood of the player posting the lowest score possible. Post-tournament evaluation. From your copious note-taking, it is your responsibility to analyze that data and learn from it. There are a large number of resources available to help you identify strengths and weaknesses so you can better understand the player. If a player is relatively weak from a yardage of 50 to 75 yards, then why are you suggesting that area to be his or her layup target on a par 5? Or if it's a short par 4 and driver is not the play, then the layup area should be based on a player's strengths. And to make these decisions, you should assess, not guess. And to do that, you should have valid information about your player so that you can maximize the potential to post the lowest score possible. You must understand that data. You must understand the analytics. Decisions on the course are made quickly, and the better you understand your player's tendencies should help in minimizing the time for those decisions. It is my opinion that most caddies fail miserably in analyzing tournament rounds. And one final point to the players. This is your career. You get one chance at this, so please make strategic decisions. You, the player, could do the things I have outlined in this podcast. And if you did those things, you could hire a local caddy each week and save a ton of money in expenses over the year. I would admit that is a big ask. Or another way to think about all of this, if you did the things outlined, and if your full-time caddy did these things, then would you play better? As the saying goes, the better you play, you can have nicer things in life. If that is not possible, then educate the caddy on your expectations. And there is yet another option. You could hire competent people to be part of your team that can help you on this journey. To reiterate, you get one chance at this career. So please make strategic decisions. Thank you for being part of the podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast or found the information helpful, then please let me know. On YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. If you are on your favorite listening app like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, then please subscribe. Please visit the website wingoodsports.com to learn more about Win Good Sports and the services offered. If you have questions and or comments, then please use the Contact Win Good Sports link from the website. Simply send a message using the contact form. Please no hate email about this podcast. LOL. Also, if you have topics for other podcasts, then please email them using the contact form on the website. Again, the website is wingoodsports.com. Stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy the journey of life and golf. Cheers. P.S. I do not consider myself to be a great caddy, but I've always tried to put the player in the best position to post the lowest score possible and did the items mentioned in this podcast.